Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to spend some time with me on the video today. Really appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about fish scents. Scent that you put on your lure. Going to really talk about if it makes much difference or not. I've been using scents, guys, really since I started fishing. I'll sort of give you a history of that in today's video. So I'm going to really go sort of into detail about my opinion if it works or not and the situations you need to use it in, and I think it's going to add up to some a little bit more clarity for you when it comes to fish scent in today's video. Also guys, today I'll put in some of my favorite brands of fish scent. I'm just like you guys, I buy them at Tackle Warehouse like you guys do, but I'll put in some of my favorites in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. If you guys would like to order some after this video, gives you an idea what to get. It's a good way to support the channel by using that link to get them. Really appreciate that. Okay guys, I started a long time ago using scent. I remember when I was in high school, I used to take my plastic worms and put them in anise oil. And I remember that my sister, her and her friends would always come over. They were in high school too, and I'd have my plastic worms laid out on the kitchen table. And I'd say, do not touch those. I don't want human scent on them. And they'd go by and touch them, and it'd make me really mad. So I've been using fish scent since the late 1970s. And I was actually sponsored by a company called Fish Formula back in the late 90s. And I've used tons of different scents since then. I mean, a lot of different ones. I've got a couple of my favorites that I'm going to share with you in here. But first of all, let's talk about, whether they work or not and to the extent of which they work. In my opinion, yes, they do. They can make a big difference in your fishing under certain situations. One of the things about this, you don't really know unless you have something to compare it to. And this is the thing that really sold me on it that made a difference. I was fishing a tournament down at Lake Eufaula in Alabama, Bassmaster Invitational years ago. And I was slow rolling the spinnerbait. I was just crawling the spinnerbait slow along the bottom. And the first day of the tournament, I caught 20 pounds, and I think I was in second or third place. And this was back when we were paired with another boater, so you got both guys sitting up front. And the second day of the tournament, I went back to my same spot. In like 20 minutes, I caught another 20 pounds. And my partner, and we'd fished 3 or 4 hours after that, excuse me, and I'd culled out 3 or 4 fish, and my partner hadn't caught a bite. He hadn't had a bite. And I gave him one of the spinnerbaits we were using, the exact same spinnerbait, and I showed him how to retrieve it, everything. I said, the only thing that I'm doing different is I'm putting some fish scent on this bait here. I'm putting fish scent on the spinner bait. He goes, well, I'll try it. So he put some on there, guys, and like 2 casts later, he caught one that weighed 5 pounds, 11 ounces. And that sort of made me a believer in it, that it does have an impact. That's the only thing that I can really explain that. Now, here's where it works the best. In my opinion, fish scent works the best when a bass has time to study a lure and get close to it. Now, obviously that's gonna mean your slow baits are gonna be better for it, your jigs, plastic worms, shaky heads, anything that you're working slow along the bottom. Because what happens is when you are working a jig or something like this along the bottom, these fish will come down and they study it. And they'll actually sometimes even touch it with their nose and push it out of the way without biting it. And if they're this close to a lure, you know that they can probably smell it because bass can smell. And think about it for a second. You can take a realistic crawdad looking imitator like this Megabass Sleeper Craw. It looks just like a crawdad. And then you can put a live crawdad right next to this, and they'll never touch the artificial, but they'll gobble the live crawdad up in a second. So the only difference is, since even in murky water, they can't really distinguish the difference that much. It has to be the smell. So I do think that a bass's sense of smell is pretty strong. So therefore, that's why I do use scent most all the time in tournament situations when I'm fishing a slow bait. Now, there's a lot of different scents out there. I've used them all, and I can't really say one is that much better than another. Personally, my favorite is the Bang garlic scent. I've used that for years. I got a lot of confidence. It's sort of oily, smells like garlic. I don't know if it makes any difference. That's just the one that I prefer. I've also used the Baitfuel. I've used Smelly jelly like this right here. Fish Formula, I've used a bunch of different ones. But one of the things I like about the Bang is that it allows you to spray it on like a can of hairspray or something like that. I feel like I can get easier coverage for it. A lot of these other ones like Smelly jelly and some of the Fish Formulas and the Baitfuel, you actually have to squirt it on the bait. So just as far as for ease of application, that squirt can works a lot better. But long story short, guys, when you're asking, should you use it or not, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to cost you any fish by using it, and I think it can definitely add up to some more fish throughout the course of a year. I'm guessing, say for example, if you caught 100 bass on a jig without scent on it, I bet if you use scent every single time on your jig, I bet you'd probably catch in the course, say if you caught 100 bass on a jig without scent in a year's time, I bet if you use scent on it, you're going to catch 100 and maybe 120 bass. I think it makes that type of a difference with it. And I really think it's effective in warmer water and areas that have higher fishing pressure. So anyway, and also guys, another thing is if you're fishing tight areas, what I mean tight areas, say for example, you're back in a creek and you're fishing isolated targets where you have to really soak that bait in one piece of target, another time that can make a big difference on that. So I use them slow roll and spinner baits, sometimes on glide baits, all my slow baits, soft bodied swim baits sometimes there. So anyway, that's my opinion on it, guys. Like I said, I don't think it's going to hurt. Again, I'll link it all in the Tackle Warehouse link if you guys want to pick up a bottle. Talk later.